Alright gang, we're back out in the shop again. Today I've got a plethora of parts out. I just finished explaining to one of my neighbors about valve train and leak down and all that happy fun stuff, so everything's still kind of sitting out after explaining all that to him, compression tests and whatnot. But we'll get this stuff put back up. So if we get everything, there we go. But what we're going to do, I don't need that out anymore, is first off we're going to clean these valves. These valves, springs, keepers, not the tappet, cam with compression release, and bag full of associated parts including keepers and whatnot, are all for a model 19. And Mike the tractor guy is working on a model 19, and his exhaust valve, which is here, is hanging up on him. When he got the engine, the valve, or the tractor, old 725 or 700 I think he said, it was had a stuck exhaust valve, so he got the exhaust valve unstuck, but he would start the engine, run it for a little while, and then the tractor would just intermittently die. That's a result of the, I'm just running around putting stuff away. That was a result of the valve and heat expansion, and the valve died hanging up again. So I told him how to fix it, but his valves are really pitted. So what we're going to do, we can see the surfaces of these valves are not horrible, but we're going to resurface them using the Dorn valve resurfacer, sitting back here, little guy right there. But as you can see, we've got a whole lot of stuff to move out of the way to get to the valve resurfacer. I won't be able to set the length of the valve for him. He'll have to do that himself. But we're going to fire up the old girl. It's not, I'm just going to barely touch the valve surface just to clean it up a little bit. Then he's going to go in and lap the valve afterward and set the valve lash, the spacing. Which I will tell him right now what that is. On the intake valve for the model 19, which we're right here, is 7 to 9 thousandths. I always go in the mean. I'll always go with the middle number, so that'd be 8 thousandths. Okay, I don't know how well we can see that. Camera kind of likes to blur once you get too close. And then over here on the exhaust valve clearance, 14 to 16, so I'd go 15 thousandths. But those are his valve clearances, and that would be the clearance between the tappet that rides on the cam and the tip of the valve. So the two of these, and it's on the compression stroke with the flywheel turned 5 degrees past top dead center. Okay, you set that. That's going to be your setup. Of course, you'll have your spring pack in there and everything. You'll only be able to see just the top part of the tappet. But with the engine at top dead center on the compression stroke, 5 degrees past top dead center, you will then get your feeler gauges and gap here to make sure that you are within those specifications that I just told you guys right there. So to make it easier on him, I'm just going to go ahead and resurface the valves real quick. Shouldn't take long. It's going to take me longer to dig out the valve resurfacer than it's going to take to resurface the valves. But we're going to do both of them. We can see this one has been ground on a little bit. It's been sized, and so has this one. Hopefully they're not too short. I don't think they're going to be, because I am going to be taking a little bit of material off here, which is going to essentially lengthen. The valve is going to seat deeper into the valve seat. And then he'll of course grab his lapping compound and his valve lapping tool and go to town lapping the valves. And I hope he's got a good valve compressor. I've got, Lord, 1, 2, 3, 4 valve spring, 5 valve spring compressor. Oh, that's a ring groove cleaner there. That cleans the grooves on a piston for you to put your rings in. But anyway, and a bunch of piston ring compressors and anyway, lots of stuff for putting engines back together in there. Hopefully he's got what he needs. But we're going to get these two guys first just wire wheeled, clean them up so that they are ready. And should be an X on one of these. This one has the X in the middle. X stands for exhaust. Exhaust. So that's the exhaust valve, that's the intake valve. They're the exact same size on the Model 19, so if one valve doesn't work good for him, he can switch over to the other. And I will try to indicate these stems in and make sure that they're straight. I'll use the lathe and an indicator, and we'll see if we can't get them indicated as well. But I've been blabbering for the last 6.5 minutes. Let's just get on with it. We interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcasting. I went ahead and put some dirty old hubcaps on. I might rub some 4/0 steel wool on them. They should come up looking okay. So it's got hubcaps on. Something else I did. Now look at this side. You can see how rusty all this is and how dull the decal is. Same thing up here, how dull the decal is. Let's just go right on over here and look how nice and bright and popping the decals are. Again, 4/0 steel wool, a little bit of cleaning solution. And I told you guys in the video that if you're real gentle, you can actually bring that white paint back. All that is paint or rust bleed. You can get it down to where it looks a whole lot better than that, just with a little bit of light rubbing. And then we cleaned the lift rod, and we also cleaned the chrome side accent pieces. Just took the rust bleed out. That's all we did. Here, I'll show you guys here real quick. You find the one that I was using. That's the one I was using. I've shown it many times. You see how rusted and pitted that is, right? Let's just go ahead and take this dirty old piece of 4/0, and I'm not pushing hard, just going in different directions. Circles here, circles there, circles everywhere. And as you go, those big rust pits will turn into much smaller rust pits, and you're not scratching the chrome. So give it a try. That 4/0 steel wool is awesome. Oh, and it's got its work clothes on, because there past Sylvester I've got a big pile to burn, and we have 0 wind today. Even though it's hotter than Hades, I think I'm gonna go ahead and burn after I get done doing the valve guide. So let's get back to it. Got to get stuff emptied out to get way back against that back wall. Now you'll be able to see everything. Oh, hang on, I'm gonna get my glove back on. But like I say, we've got oil caps everywhere. Oil cap here, here, here. Now this crank here operates bringing the wheel in and out. Okay, and this handle down here, this handle down here moves the carriage back and forth. Okay, so obviously if we look right now, our angle is way off, so I'm going to tighten the valve down. Go ahead and set it in there a little ways, and you tighten it down by grabbing the knob on the back side of the big pulley here. Just tighten it and that'll hold and hold and center the valve. So we're going to turn it on. Maybe did I unplug it? I didn't unplug it. So why aren't you turning on? Well, yeah, worked a minute ago. Why aren't you working now? Oh, because you came unplugged from the back. Yeah, the motor for this plugs into the back of the body. So now I need to find the plug. Where you at, plug? There you are. Okay, now let's turn it on. There we go. See, it doesn't turn real fast, but we need to get our angle adjusted right. So to get our angle adjusted right, you can do it a couple ways. You can bring the stone close to it and bring the carriage over and do your best to eyeball it and get it squared that way. Or you can hop into the machinist box, get your protractor and set it right. Set to 45 degrees is the correct angle for this, but if we look down here, it says, I don't know if you can see, it says 45 degrees right there. So we're going to take it at its word and just lock it down at 45 degrees. Now the lockdown, which is right here, is the holes are just really messed up. So I have the condenser to lock that down. So let's get ourselves to 45 degrees. Like I said, there's graduations on it here. Get that cleaned off so you can see it. Alright, and bring it in to 45 degrees. And we're still going to check it by eyeball to make sure that we are in good shape. Got that locked down. Not worried about the coolant because all we're doing is just touching these up real quick. And I'm going to take a very, very light pass to begin with to make sure that we've got the right angle. If we don't, we can make minute adjustments to get the angle just so on these valves. But I wanted to show you something else on the valves, and it's going to be kind of hard to see. This engine ran for a good long while, and there's actually a ridge where the seat was mating up with the valve seat, where the valve seat was mating up with the valve. So we're going to clean these until we get that off, which is going to mean that Mike's going to have to take more off of this because it's going to drop this valve down even further. There is a spec to how deep these valves can go in the valve seats, and if Mike wants to do the research and look that up, he can. But so long as he's got a good seat and there's no interference, he should be just fine to go ahead and use these valves. So let us, and I'm going to leave this shield open just so that you guys can get a little better visual of what's going on. I'll try to position the camera in a different spot. But that's enough on the talking. We've got it locked down at 45 degrees. So we're going to turn this wheel on. We're going to bring this in. I'm going to turn that on. Got a noisy motor in there. I may have to get in there and clean it up a bit. But let's take a look at what we've got as far as do we have the right angle or not. And as it turns out, we have got the exact right angle. So we're just going to go ahead, slowly bring this in until we get a completely clean surface here. Then we'll call that done. Like I say, we're not going to worry about the other end. We are not going to adjust here. We can't until it's assembled into the engine. But nice clean surfaces for Mike to start off with. It's going to make his job a whole lot easier with that old Model 19 that he's working on. So let's go ahead and commence the grinding. I can smell the ozone coming off that poor old motor. I did oil it, but it's still making some odd noises and some pretty good scents. It's a AC DC motor. How about that? Okay, here we go. Alright, let's see how the valve looks. And that didn't take much at all. So there we go. Nice, clean, fresh, new valve grind angle. And you can do multiple grinds on this too. Just have to start with your shallowest and work your way out to your deepest, like if you're doing a double grind or a triple grind for a high performance engine or something to that effect. Alright, get that one tightened in, make sure she's running true. Looks good. And we'll bring it in. Just touching. Let's get her going. And I might be bringing it in a 1/2 thousandth each time, just barely bringing it in. And looks like I'm going to go just a little bit more because I've got one little spot right there that you guys can see right there. Let's get that spot a little bit better. I know this is going to be a long video, but I was told just make them, Zippo, we'll watch them. Oh, just a hair, and I mean a hair, which I just took off of there, that hair, a hair more. That motor's happier and happier each time I turn it on. Let's take a look at her now. Yeah, I believe that the one tiny little spot that's there is not going to interfere with anything. So here we go. We have one intake valve because there is no X on it. One intake valve ready. And one exhaust valve ready. So we'll get these boxed off and off to Mike so that he can get busy on working on that 700/725 that he's working on. And there's your X, which denotes exhaust. That's going to wrap it up. This is the guy that makes the videos that you guys like to watch. Your friendly neighborhood Zippo. I'm using a fish light. The blue lights for the ultraviolet. That's a fish light. That sucker's bright. I might just leave it up there. But it's the guy that makes videos for you. Your friendly neighborhood Zippo. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. There's going to be more to come, obviously. You may have seen, got a Vanguard sitting here that's kind of in pieces. All kinds of bits and pieces. It is a vertical shaft. 18 horse. I've got parts arriving little by little, and initially what was wrong with this one was just the diode wire, but the person that had it didn't know what was going on and started tearing into it and gave up on it. So when they gave up on it, I picked it up so that I could finish it up and take care of it. But this 18 horse is going to be getting taken care of, and I'll probably just throw this on Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh's running right now, and it's the one I'm using to mow with. The Cub Cadet, it's just leaking just a tiny little bit now. It's kind of self-healing itself as far as that transpan goes. But I know I keep saying bye and then I keep talking. But Winnie the Pooh's Intech has a blown head gasket. It's not getting any worse, and that's the one I'm using to mow with. Plus we have the Legacy with the water-cooled 20 horse Kawasaki that is also up and coming for a crankcase gasket, an inlet gasket, and a water pump gasket replacement. And then it should be fully ready to go. That's the only thing wrong with it. And that's my jobs. And then of course we do have, tucked way back up in there, we still have Trader, and Trader's getting the diesel engine, so hope to be getting on that sometime soon too. I'm gonna have to do a weld patch on the hood, get that hole filled up. We're gonna be changing a lot of things up on it, but it should be fun. Be rolling coal on them. And I was told you can adjust the fuel on those Chinesium motors. So anyway, there you go. There's a quick little update on top of showing you guys the Van Dorn valve resurfacer in action. So does it get used? Well, that should answer your question. Gets used, and when Mike gets the valves, it'll make his job a whole lot easier. All right, that's it. It's your friendly neighborhood Zippo. Please, it's working. I'm up to 85% not subscribed viewers, or down to. That means 15% of you, or excuse me, about 6 or 7% of you that watch are actually going ahead and hitting that subscribe button, and I appreciate it. It helps my channel out immensely. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later. I'm out of here. Wait! I almost forgot. I got a box yesterday. It was actually this box. Green Mule, which had already sent me one bottle opener, sent me 6 more. 2 wall mount, 1 brass Coca-Cola, 1 Sprite. The Sprite was new in the box, the reproduction. He came with the screws. A PepsiCo bottle opener, an Echo, and 2 Schlitz, which don't look like they've ever opened a single can. So thank you again to Mr. Green Mule that sent me all of the hardware and now has sent me even more bottle openers to hang up on the display. So if you guys have any that are just laying around collecting dust or rusting or doing whatever they're doing, don't you think about dropping them in the mail to me? My P.O. box is down in the description. I think it'd be awesome. Thanks.